welcome to another edition of the show for overcomers and winners, the Now Show. And on today's episode, I have with me a super overcomer in all ramifications. You will know why I said that in a minute, and Mr. Rotimi Ashley-Dejo, he has a story that is amazing, fantastic. Today's episode is overcoming depression and mental illness. Mr. Rotimi.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this with us. Especially in a society where people don't talk about their issues, as it were. And here you are. Not only are you speaking out, you are also an advocate on mental illness. I mean, you blow my mind every time I read something about you. And I said, we just had to talk to you. So thank you for honoring us on the Now Show.
Pleasure is all mine. Pleasure is all mine.
Thank you. So, I don't want to take your story. There's nothing like hearing the story from the person themselves, so please, your story.
Well, like you said, my name is Rotimi Ashley-Dejo. I'm a mechanical engineer, finished from Unilag. Right after my NYC, I went to work for Chevron. I'm a drilling engineer. I was in the drilling department for about 21 years. And then I went to what you might call the midstream to downstream area of the business for the last 5 years of my career. And then I took early retirement. I took a package in 2017 after 26 years with the company. So in that time, I worked in drilling. I used to run rigs in the Niger Delta area for many years. And then I did some engineering in the office. I went to teach well control in the US at one time. Came back, I worked in deep water. And then I became operations manager in Lekki at the Lekki office. And then at one point, I went to the US as general manager for the drilling department of our technology company. Chevron's got a technology company that's kind of like the University of Chevron, where all the specialists. So I had about 60 PhD types working for me at that time. Anyhow,
so you had a successful career.
I had a pretty good run. 3 US assignments.
Yes.
So I was able to take my family to the US 3 times. I would call that pretty good assignment. When I retired, when I took the package, I was turnaround manager at the Escravos gas to liquids plant. We got a plant there where we convert natural gas into liquids.
Wow.
Yeah, so
handling all these technical things.
Well, that's what engineers
do. So at what point did depression come in? Which led to you being, your mental health was under a lot of pressure, as it were.
So let me start with a general comment.
Yes.
Which is, we are all generally equipped to handle stress. The day-to-day stresses, they're like a constant.
Yes.
So that happens. Our ability to manage and withstand the stress is what may vary. The stress is always there. And so I like to say, whenever I talk about, how this happened to me, I like to start off by saying, well, I had very little knowledge of mental illness, mental health. These were not things that I was familiar with in my upbringing.
They're still not spoken about.
These were...
Thank God for people like you. That's why I call you amazing. That have come out, that have said that, you know what, this is no longer a behind closed door thing. I want to come out and let people know that this thing is real. Because we like to pretend that those kind of things don't happen.
Well, you hear about those people.
Yes.
That mad person.
It's always those people.
It's always those
Never
people.
Never us.
So it kind of hit me out of nowhere. My life was going along. In 2004, I had recently returned to Nigeria from a US assignment.
So you surely were on a roller coaster ride as well. Yes.
I was feeling very good.
I mean, you were on a roller coaster ride.
Feeling very good. I had gone to the US on a 3-year assignment, 2000 to 2003.
Yes.
I came back in 2003 with a lot of expectation. I was bubbling with knowledge. You know, I used to teach a course while I was in the US, a course that took me all around the world. I was teaching drilling engineers around the planet in well control. And so I came back, you know, really ready to give back, you know, to the company in Lagos, in Nigeria. And turns out my job responsibilities were not very clearly laid out. So I went through a period of frustration. I didn't feel like I was being given the level of responsibilities that I was ready to take on. Anyway, there was a little bit of frustration, but eventually in 2004, I kind of overcame that. But in the midst of the stress, I mean, this was the first time really in my career up to that point where my competency had been questioned.
Wow.
I was always a top performer. I was always on top of my game. So this was kind of strange territory for me. And I think it really stressed me beyond what I had ordinarily had to handle before. And so I started to feel funny. I felt sad. I felt low. I started to lose interest in some of the things that I usually used to feel good about doing. And I really didn't understand it. Now, like I said, in 2004, things kind of turned around. I actually got a promotion on the job. I mean, a pretty significant promotion. It's, you know, one of those where you go from being an individual contributor to becoming a management staff. And now you're entitled to a car. So it was a, you know, fairly big promotion. And even, you know, after that, the feeling didn't go away. So I also got to learn that, you know, I was being posted to the US again on another assignment, which was supposed to be another reason to be happy. But my joy was kind of muted. It wasn't, I still felt funny. And I didn't understand what was going on. You know, so we proceeded on this assignment, me and my family. And, you know, for months, I'm in the US. I'm on this rotational assignment in the Gulf of Mexico. I was working on a rig in the Gulf of Mexico. And I was running a rotational schedule. And I would go for 2 weeks to the rig and come home for 2 weeks time off. And in that 2 weeks, I was always in bed. I just didn't feel happy.
Wow.
My kids were small at the time. My son was 4, 5. My daughter was 3. I mean, this was a time when I was supposed to be taking them out, really having a lot of good quality family time. And I just wasn't in it. I would come home and 2 weeks, I'd be constantly in my room, just, you know. And, you know, it went on and on. I started to get a little more familiar with what I was dealing with. And eventually, I went to see a GP because my wife just said, look, mister, I mean, we can't just, you need to get help. And so I went to see a GP. He wasn't a specialist, he was just a general practitioner. And he kind of diagnosed that I was going through some form of depression. He gave me a basic antidepressant. I came home, convinced myself that, no, I'm not going to become one of those people that has to take medication to feel good. So I took one pill, but soon after that, I flushed the rest down the toilet. And I said, no, I'm not doing this. I'm gonna will myself out of this situation. After all, I'm in the US. I have a great job. I have a great family. Everything is good. Why am I sad? I didn't understand. Anyway, I mean, I just went on, struggled through it. I thought a change of environment may help me. So a few months, you know, into 2005, my boss called and said, hey, we'd like you to come back and handle this senior engineering job in Lekki. I jumped at it. I said, yeah, I think my wife was like, I mean, are you ready to go back already? I said, yes. I just wanted to do something different because this was not working for me.
That would take you out of that sad
situation.
You always found yourself at this time.
I thought maybe a change of environment may work. So I came back with the family and I got into this new job. And eventually, I mean, I went through a series of panic attacks. I remember going to bed at night and waking up in a cold sweat. I mean, my bed sheet would be drenched. I was having regular anxiety attacks for many, many weeks. But eventually it faded away. I was actually doing very well. I got another promotion. I was made a superintendent in our field operations. And it eventually went away. So I felt good. But then a few years down the road, it was back.
Wow.
And through all this, my career was going very well. I mean, I eventually became the operations manager for drilling in Lekki in 2008. And then in 2009 is when I got the job assignment in the US as a general manager. Went to the US in 2009, and by 2010, despite all the good things that were going on, I was in a hole. I was in a hole again. So for many months, I just struggled through it, and eventually, I was able to confront my denial. And that's something I want people to take note of. Confronting the issue is very hard for a lot of people. They just don't want to be associated with that kind of life. I'm not going to go see a doctor for mental issues. When I went to see my GP, because you start off with your GP and then your GP will recommend a specialist. I remember the nurse taking my vitals. You know, she was interviewing me, wanting to find out what was wrong, what's the matter. And I said, well, I've been in this state of mind for several months now, and I can't seem to get out of it. And so she started to talk to me. She said, hey, I have also experienced what you're experiencing. In fact, I suffered depression for 10 years. And she said, in that 10 years, my husband left me. My children were estranged. My whole life was falling apart right before me. And I'm a medical person. She said, I'm a nurse. I should know better, right? She said after she got help, she went to see a psychiatrist and she got on antidepressants. She said within like 2 months, she was fine. So, you know, they say ignorance can kill.
That's right.
This is one of those, issues,
so
situations.
Acceptance and getting the right help, helps minimize any issue, really. Then, something as serious as mental illness. It's confronting the unknown. So, we generally fear what we don't understand. And in my case, people are very familiar with depression, right? And when you talk about depression, the next question is, what are you worried about? What's stressing you out? Are there money issues? Is there something worrying you? And you see, even though everybody experiences stress, the defects are not necessarily directly associated with the stress. In my case, for instance, even after things got better, I was still stuck. And clinical depression, which is what I was diagnosed with, is, it's an illness, it's a mental illness of the brain where, our moods are all, defined, or should I say, determined by chemicals in our brains. Theoretically, I could pull out certain chemicals in your brain and you'd be sad for no reason. So clinical depression, even though, yes, there's always stresses to kind of trigger depression, the brain will always try to get you back to normal. Everybody goes through stress. Depression comes, you feel bad for a few hours, for a few days, and then you're fine. Now, with clinical depression, my brain is unable to do the balancing itself. So your brain keeps you in that permanent state of sadness. So
I needed medication to get me back to the right balance. And so people always talk about mental illness like it's one terrible thing. But it's just
like that naked man on the street pushing a tire.
But mental is really just a subset of physical. Everything that is mental is physical. It's just that it has to do with the brain. So we need to, the way we think about mental, like it's some abstract thing somewhere. It isn't. It's really, everything is, all our moods and thoughts and everything is all in this organ. So when you're dealing with heart disease or liver disease or your pancreas or whatever it is, you don't just will it away. If those things aren't working right, you go and get help, professional help. So the same thing with the brain. Why do we think we can will away defects with our brains? We need to get professional help. And a lot of people don't realize that there are a lot of people like you suffering exactly the same thing.
Wow.
So it's
Wow.
confronting the issue, confronting it, accepting that this is normal. This doesn't make me, strange or mad or whatever. This
Or
is
that
something.
creepy fellow, we shouldn't come there or something.
A lot of people, statistically, in every room of 10 people, there's at least 4 people suffering mental illness of some sort. And I just want to point out one thing. We depression is the most common. Everybody knows about depression. But if you think about our society, there's probably a lot of post-traumatic stress. There's sex abuse, sexual abuse, there's rape, there's people get robbed,
domestic violence.
All these things can cause post-traumatic stress disorders. And PTSD presents in different ways. Some people just find that they can't sleep at night. Some people find that they're unable to have normal relations with their partner. I mean, there are all sorts of ways it presents, and nobody's even paying any attention to that. So depression is one thing, it's very common. There's PTSD. Some people have, bipolar, schizophrenia. These are all diseases of the brain. And
what I'm really glad about, Rotimi, is the fact that you are an advocate, on mental illness now, making it known that this exists. So what other advice would you have for somebody who sees that there seems to be something here, things are not normal with me? Usually in this part of the world, people can't even discuss such things with their partners.
Right. It wasn't easy to come out and speak publicly about my own experience with depression. And for many years, I started in 2004. It's now 2021.
Yes.
Up till 2019, I really didn't go public. It was just a small circle of family and friends that knew what was going on, that I confided in. In fact, I confided in a few people who really didn't handle it well. So that's the other thing. People don't understand these things, and they can actually make it worse with their comments, because they don't know what they don't know.
I need you to stress that.
That people make offhand comments like maybe your faith is not strong enough, or what's the issue? Why are you worried about? You have a good job, so what's the issue?
What's your problem?
So sometimes some of those comments, you pull back from those people because they're not helping.
Because they're already adding to the pain.
Right.
As it were.
Right.
So
the stigma, we fear what we don't understand, and the stigma is real. We shame victims of rape. We shame people who are not well.
Yes.
We tend, as a society, we tend to ostracize people who are different from us, particularly when it comes to issues of the brain, mental health. So that stigma has built over time. Or should I say it's always been there? It's a problem around the world, but it's worse in Africa and in Nigeria. We don't talk about these things. Even when I came out in 2019 at my birthday party and I was talking about it, there's an uncle of mine right there who was telling my sister, you go and stop him.
I know.
We need to talk about this in the family. Let's cover it up so nobody else knows about it. But if nobody knows about it, we're not helping other people.
That's right.
Because there's one thing that struck me many years ago is the fact that a lot of people don't even understand what they're going through. They can't even, it's one thing to say, oh, I think I'm getting depressed. I don't want the stigma and all that. Before you even get to the point of understanding that you have a mental illness, you just have a feeling that you don't understand. That's where a lot of people are. So it gets worse, and then it gets to a point where it's difficult to bring you back. You really need to go and get help. So, I mean, the stigma thing, definitely speaking out was not easy.
No.
When I was in Chevron, I did not let my bosses know.
You dared not?
Because I didn't want to risk my career.
You dared not?
Jobs are being, people are being considered for promotions and stuff.
Right.
And they think, oh, maybe Ashley can't handle the stress. So we better not put him there. I just didn't want any of that affecting my career progression. So I kept quiet about it. But once I took the early retirement, I felt liberated enough to come out, speak out, and help other people.
Yes.
Because, I just want to advocate for people to speak. It's not very easy for people to come out and expose their private issues. But think about it. If you can save one person by sacrificing your privacy, then it makes it worth it.
Wow.
It's
save one person by sacrificing your privacy. It's worth it.
Because speaking up normalizes the so-called, abnormal. We're normalizing it by showing that ordinary people like you and me and others suffer the same thing. You're not alone.
That's right.
This is something that a lot of people suffer. So don't feel shy, don't feel bashful to speak up and get help. Because, you're not helping yourself and it will get worse. So, I just want to encourage folks who may be going through stuff, which is, there's help out there. You're not alone.
You're not alone.
Yeah.
Wow.
And if you suffer mental illness, it is very therapeutic to help other people. It helps me. I'm not home free and completely cured. Hey, I still get into low moods now and then.
Yes.
But it helps me therapeutically to help other people. So doing the advocacy is actually therapy for me also.
For
Yeah.
Wow. In fact, that's why I just say that you're just an amazing person.
I don't feel amazing.
Seriously, is doing phenomenal things, because you saying that coming out, not only does it help you, you're of course helping other people. Because the truth is that in this society where we are, people don't even know where to go to. They don't know where to seek help. And when you're authentic and they see that you've come out with your story, so a top manager of Chevron, I can come and say that you suffer depression. So that means that there's something wrong with me. It's nothing. Do you understand what I'm saying?
You can
special.
You can live a very normal, fruitful, productive life with mental illness.
Which you're living.
Manage it.
Yes.
Yeah. There are many resources out there. A lot of people are reluctant to go to public psychiatric hospitals, for different reasons. You don't feel comfortable. Well, if you go online, there are many NGOs that are associated with mental illness awareness. I'm associated with a few. ASADS is the Anti-Suicide and Depression Squad, ASADS, they're online. There's Olama Cares. There's Psych Health Matters, which I'm a patron of, Psych Health Matters. There's also a Lagos helpline that I only became aware of a few months ago. Lagos State has established helplines.
Wow,
it's yes, I can provide that number. It's 0909 000 MIND, MIND. So 0909 000 MIND. It's Lagos helpline. You can call that line. Actually, I've tried it.
Yes.
You talk to.
And it works.
Yeah, it works. They'll give you a few options, and you can talk to someone who can either give you emergency counseling or refer you to psychiatric or psychological resources, people that can help you.
There's something we do on the Now Show, which we call the last word, which is something that you want to leave our viewers with, something for them to remember about mental illness.
Well, let me say this. You're not alone. If you're going through stuff, even if you don't understand fully what you're going through, talk to somebody. You don't have to talk to a professional right away. Talk to a friend. Talk to your spouse, talk to your brother, seek help. We talk about the fact that this thing is so widespread and everybody's trying to hide it away. It's almost mind-boggling to me. So you're not alone. There are a lot of people going through the same stuff you're going through, and it doesn't help you to bottle it up. You can't will it away, so to speak. If you have malaria, you go get drugs for it. You don't will it away. Mental illness many times is something that needs to be treated professionally. So do not hesitate to get help. So that's really my message. Suicide, for those who are considering the ultimate, please, there's a lot more to live for than to die. There's a lot to live for. What you're going through is temporary, it will pass. Suicide is so final, it's not worth it. You have a lot to live for. I think I'll leave it there.
Wow. Rotimi has said it all. There's a lot more to live for than to die. Talk to somebody if you believe that there is a problem somewhere. I'm your regular host, Abosede Ozal. Until we come your way again, I'm signing off with my guest, Rotimi Ashley-Dejo.
Thank you.
Rotimi.
Thank you.
That's you.
Don't forget to like this video. And if you haven't, subscribe to the Now Show channel today and hit the notification bell so that you do not miss any video that is uploaded. Thank you for watching.